All right, everybody, and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave here, and along with Double Check Dale, right following Christmas. We are back. We were off for a couple of days here on BCB Live, enjoying the holidays. Here's the big question, and I know we've all been wanting to know, Dale. Did you get what you wanted for Christmas?
And then some.
Did you?
Heck yes.
I didn't get anything I wanted for Christmas, and I'm not sure I was a bad boy or not.
Yeah, you were on the naughty list.
Bryce.
Hello.
Did you get everything you wanted for Christmas?
I got everything for Christmas. Less material things, more just quality time with family and friends.
Okay, I'm not counting any of that.
I am. That's something to count. It was a great Christmas.
Okay, that's it, and I'm glad. Hey, good for you. Woo! Great job. I wanted more stuff under the tree. I'll tell you, little mad at the wife, I'm just saying, I felt like. I looked at her and I said, seriously, have I been that bad this year? And she said yes.
She said yes. And ladies and gentlemen, she was right.
She said yes,
and
you have.
Right.
And I was like, And you know what? I'll live with it one more year. It's not like it's the first year I've been on the naughty list, right?
It's not the first year you didn't get everything you wanted either, so...
God, you know what? Had a great time, had family over. Cooked Christmas morning, we had all the family over. Had 16 people in the house. I cooked brunch, actually, for everyone. And I did, by the way, Bryce, you'll be happy to know, I did all the cooking, most of the cooking, and the cleaning.
Ooh, that's where
really?
I fall short.
I did most of the cooking. I cooked all the meats. I cooked most everything that had to be done. I did as quickly and as well as I could, and I cleaned the entire kitchen after everything was done by myself.
Is that just like a once a year kind of thing?
No. No, but I'm just saying.
You're acting like it's like, whoa.
Well, I mean, for 16 people, that was quite a job.
That's quite a task.
I admit, yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was like, woo, easy. I mean, I did it, and I asked no help, and I had my wife enjoy her time on Christmas Day.
So you loaded the dishwasher.
No, I don't use the dishwasher. I wash everything by hand. I don't use the dishwasher. I don't like the dishwasher.
You're old school.
I old school. I wash everything by hand.
Okay.
Nice job, Dave.
That's my deal. I'm big on that. However,
good job.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Especially, one of the big Christmas gifts I did get this year was the Cowboys' victory over the Eagles. That was a very special gift, just to me. I think they looked down and said, I think God looked down and said, you know what?
This one goes out to drive safe.
That is right. You know what? Victory, cha-ching, right there over those dreaded Eagles. And other than that, hey, what about you? What is the one gift you got that you're really excited about?
14-year-old scotch. 10-year-old cigars.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah. Ooh, those are good.
Really excited about.
You have a humidor?
Yes, I do.
I do too.
It's usually pretty well stocked.
Okay, enough of the sins of the father. I will tell you, weather. Let's just briefly jump into it because I think it's been impactful over the last couple of weeks, and it continues to thwart our every move, no matter where we are in the country. What was it? Southwest released today. How many? 80% of their flights canceled?
Canceled or delayed. Yep, not on schedule. And it's going to take them a while to get back because they got to get the crews and everybody in the right places.
Gonna unravel.
Yeah.
What a mess. Yeah. I saw some videos of the luggage. Mounds and mountains.
Mounds, yeah, that's right.
Mountains and mountains of luggage traveled, and I'm like, where are the people?
Yeah, how the luggage get here for the people to? No. Buffalo, New York usually gets about 95 inches of snow for the season. They're past 100 already, so they just keep getting hammered from it, calling it a once in a generation.
I saw that. What was interesting on that? There was one point in Buffalo that every fire truck was stuck at the same time and needed other rescue from other emergency equipment to get out. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, yes, it is, and it's scary because usually your house fires go up in times of cold because people start burning stuff that they shouldn't be burning.
Trying to stay warm.
Staying warm. So
Watertown got hit hard.
Yep.
That whole region along along the lake effect just pummeled that region, and it continues. They continue to dig out today. I'll tell you the sad news about all of this is that 55. So far, I think the death count is at 55, and they expect more from this storm as they continue to search homes and find people that had no power in this most difficult of time. Our prayers go out to them and their families during the holidays. Also, we got another one coming in off of the West Coast. I will see that out west, I mean, all along the Sierra Madres, they're going to get slammed.
Well, they're going to get slammed, but I mean, the coastal areas are getting record amounts of rain there also, and so we're going to look at a lot of flooding along the coastal areas as you get in the mountains. The snow is coming down, Donner Pass, that whole upper elevation, feet of snow, not just inches. It's going to come in feet.
Yeah, if you're headed out any of the passes, I'm just going to let you know, Tehachapi, Grapevine, Donner, Shasta, those passes in California, be aware of where you're headed. Make sure you understand what you're getting into because you may not want to do it.
Yeah.
It may not be the ideal of situations and heavy rains in the south. I'm hoping that we get an opportunity to fill up a little bit of Lake Mead, right?
I hope so. But yeah, the rains are starting to go down southern California again, and so lots of rain, lots of snow out there. So be aware if you're going out to the West Coast, there is a lot happening out there.
Yeah, and that storm system is going to continue to pummel that area over the next few days and then move east. We are getting a little fortunate in the central part of the country. We're going to have like right up through the Midwest, we're going to have above normal temperatures this week.
Very moderate temperatures after what we had last couple of weeks, any temperature would be pretty moderate. But yeah, the temperatures are really going to climb, and we're going to see a lot more rain in places last week that got snow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just a difference of temperature, a few degrees.
Yeah, and 1 inch of rain is actually equivalent to 10 inches of snow. So, these areas they don't need a lot more water.
No,
they just don't. I mean,
no, so.
I mean, we our prayers go. Mind where you're going. Understand the situation in the areas in which you're traveling. Let everyone know what your intentions are. Consignees, shippers. Let them know, because I'll tell you this, from my experiences, not always the person that is on the other end of the line is working in that region that got hit hard and may not know fully well know the impact of that area that you may be traveling to or from or through.
Yeah.
So you might have to explain that to them. They may be sitting in,
Yeah. And they're going, well, I made it to work, so if I made it to work, you should be able to get in the truck.
I'm in Tallahassee. Why? I don't understand.
Yeah, I got to work today.
But understand the situation that's going on out there. If you see anywhere, be aware of what's happening. And the winds were really, really the story, I think. And not only the snow, the huge amount of snow they got up there, but the wind was 80 miles an hour. They were in some places.
Yeah, I mean, just the wind was how widespread it was. I mean, from Minnesota all the way through Iowa, around the Great Lakes, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, all at one point where you couldn't hardly travel in a high-profile vehicle because the gusts were exceeding 40, 50 miles an hour. So really put a snarl on that right before Christmas. But
yeah, dangerous stuff and very weird and very, very noticeable. We got to make sure that we take note of it. We'll be back in just a second. We're going to talk to Chris Wright here in just a minute about Samsara. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back here at BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe. Dave here on board behind the news desk, along with Chris Wright, Senior Account Executive over at Samsara. How you doing, Chris?
Good morning, or afternoon in my case. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think we're right at that point here at noon. I think half the country's in the morning and half are in the afternoon. So whatever you feels like shaking it down for you, Chris, you're always going to be right here on this show at BCB Live.
I love it. Love it.
All right, so tell us a little bit about what Samsara is. Let's start off exactly what it is.
Yeah, no, great question. For anybody who doesn't know who we are a IoT business. So we're essentially bringing data points in vehicles, fleet vehicles, and making it into tangible data. So we're taking points from diagnostics, we're taking artificial intelligence, and we're creating actionable coaching items via dash cams. We're constantly evolving, so there's a lot of new features, there's a lot of new alerting pieces to what we do, so it's a constantly growing and evolving platform.
Yeah, Chris, and as we know with the mandate that happened several years ago with the ELD, that's pretty much where Samsara kind of jumped in, right, with the ELD mandate, trying to build in onto that. And what you found out was the amount of data that came in was usable in so many ways, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was from my perspective, that was a big jumping point, right? Samsara is all over the ELD side. We work really heavily with large fleets, tractor trailer fleets. I personally am a little bit siloed. I specifically work on the public sector side, so I deal directly with government, so we don't see quite as much ELD, but that is a huge part of our business in working with compliance and making sure that all the data points that we have are as accurate as possible for those drivers. So absolutely, I mean that's right on point.
Did you and when you're talking about in the public sector, I'll tell you, we're all going to benefit from this data, right, Chris? I mean, in so many ways. I mean, this data that you're talking about on driver performance, cameras, hard brakes, all of this data that's starting to flow in. Not only can we help improve our business, but let me ask you a question. Government agencies and everybody outside wants this data as well, right?
Yeah, this is a really good question and a good topic altogether, right? Because when it comes specifically to data points and AI and cameras, it can go one of two ways. And I think that there is this kind of stigma that still sticks around, sometimes in government and sometimes in private fleets, that it's a big brother tool, or it's a tool that isn't going to help the fleet, right? And with government, when we look into government specifically, this is a tool of exoneration for them, and they do want these data points for a couple of reasons. And I mean, we could go on about this all day, but there's one key reason, and that key reason is transparency. So when you look at schools, you look at public works departments, you look at police departments, everything in today's environment has revolved around transparency and the ability to see what's going on within the community, right? So governments now, state, local, education, are coming in hot to grab these pieces of data because of that exact reason. They want to make sure that people in the community have oversight, or at least some view of what's going on, within those fleets.
And when you do this, and here's the question, and I know that you're talking about this, but if I have a fleet and I'm utilizing these data points and these safety, and I can improve my safety 100% without question by doing this, correct?
You can, yeah. So let me think about the question. So there's going into anything that has to do with either telematics or video safety, you're going to improve tremendously depending on what your use case is, right? So, and that's one thing at Samsara. I'm very specific. I take a pretty strategic approach in how I talk to the end users, the government, about this, and I really want to understand what metrics they're trying to improve and how we're going to offer that improvement, right? So I would say 99% of the time, something, depending on why they need the devices or why they need the video, there's a 99% chance that it's going to improve something within their fleet. Absolutely.
I'm on board, Chris, because let me tell you, you're shedding light on what's going on all the time. I mean, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, that transparency that you're talking about, the idea that we're taking notice for the first time from the start to the finish, everything that's going on behind the driver, how can it not help safety when we're all focusing on it for the first time in the history of logistics, while the driver's out there on the road, right? I mean, I know that you're talking to everybody, and I know exoneration, everything, and to me, right or wrong, right? I mean, right or wrong, and if you're exonerated, great. If you're not, you know the truth. You know where you're at. And I'm telling you right now, how can it not help you with your safety?
There's virtually no way that it can't help you. I mean, it's just, and you would be surprised, but you'd be floored at some of the conversations I have. I mean, there's always going to be adversity to innovation and changes. But to your point, I mean, just to talk about it in that form, that fashion, and you have a great point there, whether it's you're right or you're wrong, all goes back to the transparency of it, right? And we know what happened here. We've got a conclusion, whether you're right or whether you're wrong. And inevitably, even if there are times that a driver may be in the wrong, overall, that safety, that productivity is going to improve because of that, right? So it's improving in a lot of ways. I mean, telematics and video solutions, it's a domino effect. Behaviors change, there's safer fleets, there's less accidents. It's a whole domino effect. You end up saving money from lawsuits. I mean, so there's more than just looking at the fleet manager and saying, hey, well, don't you want to see when your maintenance is due, and don't you want to see, when there's an accident? I mean, there's so many pieces of this, and there's no one stakeholder in any business when it comes to this technology. Safety is the responsibility of everybody in the organization.
Absolutely, and I agree. You're starting to preach to the choir, because that's what we believe here at BCB, the safest station in the nation. Look, I'm just going to tell you, I love ideas and concepts behind this, because no matter what, no matter how you view it, no matter how you look at it, you've got to understand that we have to know the truth about what's going on out there. It's no longer he said or she said. And you have the ability within these units to not only see what's transpiring out there, but you create coachable moments that make the little things. I mean, the nuances, we're not talking about the nuclear verdict crashes right now. Okay, we're talking about the daily habits that every driver out there on the road has in one way, shape, form, or fashion. You have an opportunity to help make that better every day, right?
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and my deal is, and when you go to people, and I do, and they start to get that, and I get it, change is hard, right? Change is difficult. Do you just want to shake them sometimes and just say, wake up? How could you not want to know what's going on? Because I'll tell you, Chris, and answer this. No longer is it okay to say, well, I don't want to know, that way I'm not responsible. Like, I mean, as long as I don't know, I won't get in trouble because I didn't know. Because now I think what they're worried about, and you tell me, they're worried about that they do know, now they have to do something about it. Isn't that awesome?
You're right. I mean, you're right on point. And like I said earlier, I'm tied to government. So my experience is solely with dealing in some red tape and processes and different elements of the sales cycle, as you will. Do I want to shake them? I mean, some. I don't want to go to prison, so I don't. But yeah, I mean, there are times where I'll sit in meetings and, we're uncovering all sorts of different pieces of the puzzle as to why insurance premiums went up or why, there's been accidents. And to go back to your point, when there is resistance, when there is pushback, it's typically not because of the solution we have in the technology. Everybody, for the most part, acknowledges and understands that we have an innovative product, that it can help. I think a lot of it goes back to old habits, right? And what you said before is, well, what if something does happen? Do I want to be responsible for that? That's a lingering thought, and surely amongst a lot of different fleets, not just government, that sits around and wants to say, okay, well, I can exonerate myself just by not knowing, right? And where the education piece comes into this is, for those one time out of, let's say, 10 that things are swept under the rug, it's going to come to light and it's going to cost you. And it's simply not worth it. And it's building a gap between you and your community at that point, because these are all things that were preventable. This is looked at as a preventative, type of device, something that can help save dollars, taxpayer dollars, can help save people from, accidents or call-ins about snow not being plowed, for example, because our devices go all the way down to the point where it'll track where snow is being, plowed and how much salt's being put down. So there's a lot of pieces to it. And yeah, I mean, certainly there is pushback. It's a lot less now. People tend to be receptive now. So
I'm just going to say it. To me, government is us. We are the government. I mean, any true American needs to understand that no matter what you say about government and all that red tape, that's just us trying to be slower at doing the right thing. I will tell you that I don't think, first of all, I don't think juries are okay anymore with, I didn't know any better. I just don't think they're that stupid anymore. I think we all realize full well you had every opportunity. So I look at it this way, and Chris, you had every opportunity to wear a seatbelt, right? I'm not telling you to wear one because I think you'll get in an accident, because I want you to get in an accident, but you need to wear one in case it happens. And to me, the same thing applies here with what we're talking about technology. We're talking about the same idea and the same principle. You do it because what might happen. You do it because what you can prevent and what you can benefit yourself on the data. Here it is. Let me ask you, and I get it. There's a lot of data collection deals. Why is Samsara the best option out there on the road? Why is Samsara the best? You're the guy. Tell me why Samsara is the best.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, and the most important reason is you got me. So, I mean, I'm just kidding. Anybody at Samsara listening,
Cha-ching! What's going up? I got you, Chris.
All governments listening, no. So, in all seriousness, there's a couple factors about Samsara that really set us apart. And for anybody who knows me, I'm very vocal about my work. I'm very vocal about my career. I've got a podcast, so there's something to be said when I compliment a company. I'll put it to you that way. And one thing I absolutely love about this organization is we take such a unique approach to the customer story and how we manage and solve the problem, right? And I'll give you an example. I want to say 2 months ago, I had somebody I was working with. We ended up, getting roughly, 350 vehicles suited with devices, and part of my process with them was going out with them personally and installing 300 devices, right? And the only reason I wanted to do that was I wanted to make sure that they were going to have a good experience, and I wanted to make sure it was going to work right, and I wanted to make sure their settings were correct, right? To the best of my knowledge, there's not anybody that I've worked with, from a competitive standpoint, who has offered to go out, spend time, take time out of their day and pocket as a salesperson to approach that. So I think the customer success part of it is huge here. Samsara is very diligent about hiring people who are very proactive, who are very, self-starters, engaged with their customers. And, on the technical side, we have a lot of very innovative technology. We're constantly evolving. We have real-time GPS, which is, there's maybe one or two people out on the market that have that. we actually listen to the customer's feedback. So there's an option in our dashboard to say, hey, I've got this issue and I would really like this alert. And our development team, goes in, looks at that, listens to it, and then we put out, beta for people to test things and try new things. So it sounds cliche, but it's real that we truly listen to what the fleets want, and we're trying to grow and evolve with them. So, Sanjit, our CEO, is very innovative. He's a successful entrepreneur. He's somebody who has a lot of experience with, making sure that products are solving problems for the end user. And I'm truly grateful to be a part of it. I mean, this is the best company I've ever worked for, hands down.
Oh, fantastic. I tell you, I'm excited about the idea and the principle that we're talking about necessary items and technology needed out there for private fleets, public fleets, whatever the fleets are that have an opportunity to create safer environments for all to share on the roadways. Chris, 45,000 people died last year on the roadway. Okay?
Sad.
Yeah. 45,000 died the year before that. We're on track this year to have the same number. At some point, you, me, everyone needs to realize these are not acceptable. And
Agreed.
whatever we can do, in whatever facet we can do, we got to find better ways in order to make that number not just go down, but go away. Right? I mean, I'm okay with a 0, right, out there on the nation's highways. I don't know many people, Chris, that get involved in safety and get involved in this and realize that there isn't any of us that are older than 20 that don't have somebody they know, somebody they don't, that they a loved one, or somebody that they know, a friend that hasn't been killed in an automobile accident in their lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And one question, I mean, this boils down to one question in my mind, right? And in some cases, it's when do certain people, whether it be fleet managers or whoever the obstacle might be in a certain situation when it comes to implementing technology for safety,
right,
when do we let ego step over somebody's life, right? So what's more important, the ego of knowing that, hey, I could potentially get away with something, or somebody's life? Because that, to me, is what it breaks down to. And I'm obviously passionate. I work with schools. I've had schools that, I've put trial devices in, and they've caught people doing 90 miles an hour with students on the bus. I mean, that to me, I absolutely love what I do, because there's no telling if that guy that was eventually fired, of course, would have done it again and killed all those, kids on the bus.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
That is something that I am passionate about. And, the driver, this particular driver, was somebody who pushed back. Well, I don't want cameras in here. I don't want this, right? And, it doesn't matter what you want. This is the safety for you and for the students and for everybody involved with that school, right? So it's like anything. And you had a really good point here. It's technology. It's evolving. Same thing with the seatbelt. People hated the seatbelt. They couldn't stand it, right? I don't even think about a seatbelt anymore, right?
No.
I've got a kid. I've got a family. I don't want to get in a car accident and lose my life because I, didn't want to wear a seatbelt. So I look at this innovation, this technology, and all the companies out there doing it, respect all of them, that are trying to help change a norm in society when it comes to safety, because people's lives are important. And you know what? People who are driving trucks and delivering freight and cargo, those are important jobs, man. Like those people do a really critical, they're a huge part of our economy, and they're in need right now, right? I mean, we have to provide layers of safety and, things that are going to get them feeling safe, like they're going to get home to their families, right? I mean, so I think over time, this is going to change. I mean, we're in an early stage of it.
I agree, Chris. And let me just tell you, I with my personal experience with Samsara and some of its innovations, I think the coaching opportunities that are available with this tool are remarkable. Because let's just take, for example, and I'm just going to throw it out there. You have a number one, nobody thinks they're a bad driver. Okay.
Right.
No, okay. Nobody does. And second, you have an opportunity to work and better the trade craft of a group of people out there involved in our lives every single day with our families on the roadway. So you have a chance to coach and create better drivers every single day, right? Because this tool offers a coaching method, right? Offers a coaching system that helps people to be better at what they do. Not criticize them, not go out there and say, oh, you suck. But really the idea is to go out there. Now, we do want the guys doing 90 with children on the bus to not be out behind the wheel. But I'm talking about something so simple, and I get it, rolling a stop sign. Now, we've all done it. We're all guilty of it. There's not any of us that haven't done it before. But really, we should be stopping at all of them, right? I mean, that's what it's for. They're designed that way. It's the safest move. It's the best move. And we have an opportunity to share in those and say, look, you rolled 6 today. I get it. You didn't hurt anybody, but your chances were there, right? Your chances. And I think, speak to the coaching, because, I mean, you really haven't gone, because I think that's huge into what we have an opportunity with these type of systems.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And the beauty about the video solution is it's artificial intelligence. So there's parameters that are set up and put into place to coach on very specific needs for that fleet. And, to give you an example, let's say EMS. You've got EMS, and for some time, in many places still, they were required to wear masks while they drive. It was a safety precaution from a health perspective, and there were features that were piloted to capture whether or not the mask was on, right? But that's a parameter that the EMS folks have the ability to put into place. So it's a really good, artificial intelligence in general is a highly, highly effective technology for video, for really anything, writing, video. There's a lot of technologies being built, with artificial intelligence now. But when it comes to safety, it's bringing immediate attention, to your point, on the things that are really important to that fleet. So a rolling stop through a stop, through a stop sign, for example, or, let's say a harsh brake event, which could have resulted in an accident, right? So there's all these different layers, and within our dashboard, you can go through and train the AI to, have a higher sensitivity, a lower sensitivity. You can build it out to match your exact needs and expectations. And it does, as a whole, I can't give precise numbers, but as a whole, we generally see a relatively large increase in productivity, but also a decrease in, let's say, accidents, and just some people I work with specifically, accidents or, from people rolling through stop signs, for example. But yes, the coaching aspect is tremendous, and you can have, safety managers, risk involved with stuff like that, right? I mean, operations departments, and we're built out for large fleets, so you can tag things out, break up users for different safety and coaching mechanisms. It's absolutely, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's a huge part of what we do, and it's instrumental in our success as we try to create safer fleets. 100%.
Hey, Chris, and I'm going to tell you, look, I appreciate what your company's doing and the product that they're providing and the innovation that's continuing to go on. I look forward to seeing what else y'all will be coming out, what else, and when you do, make sure you bring on here, and we don't want to see the video of the guy doing 90 miles an hour with school. That is not the one we want to look at. But, Chris, I'll tell you what, I do appreciate what you do, and I do like the passion that you have for your job, because safety is a mission. It is a primary function of what we need to do to make a difference in what's going on in our culture out there on the highways.
Absolutely.
Hey, Chris, how does anybody reach out to you if they need to reach you, talk to you? If you got any schools out there that want to go, I kind of like that Chris, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, and I'll say just, on the passion side, it's important, as a dad and somebody who has lost people due to safety, lack of safety, measures. This is something I'm passionate about. And I would encourage anybody listening, family, if you have kids, whatever the situation might be, to just take some time and invest mentally in how you can help improve that, or how you can encourage within your organization to create safer measures for people, because it could potentially save somebody's life, and that's the reality of it. As far as contact, you can find me on LinkedIn. My email is just christopher.wright@samsara.com. You can reach out to me with any questions. I love having conversations with people, sharing, what we do, and certainly I can point them in the right direction. If it's even if it's a private fleet, I can point them to somebody at the company. All the socials that I have are all, kind of streamlined. It's all Wright's Mind. So I can be found on, anything just by typing that in on Google or going to LinkedIn or something. But happy to connect with anybody who has questions. I take a very educational approach. I am technically a salesperson, but I don't fall into this stigma of, I'm not gonna have a conversation with you unless you're gonna buy something. This is so important to me. I will have those conversations, and if I have to, recommend something different, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what matters to me is that the students are safe, the people in the community understand what's going on, and that's what it's about, man.
Thanks, Chris, man. I do appreciate it. Hey, before you get out of here, I do always ask that our guests state their name, who they're with, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that for me?
Yes, sir. Chris Wright with Samsara, and you are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Wow to go. Hey, thanks, Chris, man. Hey, have a good holiday. Happy New Year to you, and we'll holler at you sometime next year to get some more information from you. How's that?
Yes, sir. Been very productive. Looking forward to staying in touch. Thank you guys for what you're doing.
All right. Thanks, Chris. All right. There you go. You got Chris Wright over at Samsara looking at talking about some of the innovation in the public sector. It really needs to permeate through all kinds of fleets. People don't realize you've got school buses. You've got, people out there running in police cars and all kinds of things. Each of us is human behind the wheel, and we all have an opportunity to learn and be better. We'll be back in just a second with Double Check Dale to talk a little bit about the safety topic before we get out of here. Be right back.
BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News
down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong.
Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection, yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
All right, we are back here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We have Double Check Dale back in to talk about our safety topic today. What is it?
Safety topic this week is too fast for conditions. Today we're going to talk about curves, entering curves slowly. 40% of speeding-related fatalities occur in curves. Also, number one cause of rollovers in curves is speed. So braking in the curve can cause the wheels to lock up and cause the vehicle to skid. And you don't ever want to brake going into the curve, because then you have forces working on two different directions, pulling you forward and trying to go around the curve. Not a good thing. You want them working in unison. So slow down. Hey, when you go into those curves, a lot of times you'll see posted, 40 miles an hour. Drivers, that is for cars in optimum conditions. Trucks should be 5 to 10 miles an hour slower than that posted sign.
Raj, you want to look up the word inertia for me? Just curious.
Yeah, I'd love to.
That's the big word of what I was saying. Yes,
you want to throw that? You would throw a little bit of the inertia out there is what we're talking about when it comes into curves. What part it plays in this whole scheme of physics. Drive Safe Dave has on his chest today a warning sign of what can happen to you if you exceed the parameters set there by the safety standards above 35 miles an hour in a big rig. You can roll over.
Yeah.
Right?
Without a doubt. Put a little wind with it, you'll roll over a lot quicker.
So inertia is a property of matter by which it continues in its existing state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line.
That is correct. So it wants to continue to go straight when you turn.
That's right.
So objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Objects at rest tend to stay at rest unless acted upon by other force. I will tell you that the idea is that it's inertia that will get you out of the curve and cause you to lose control. It is a property of physics. And look, the idea and the principle is slow down out there.
Yeah.
Right? Slow down.
Slow down. Enjoy the ride.
Curves are dangerous.
Yes, they are.
And when you're on slicker roads, snowy roads, wet roads, icy roads,
Windy roads,
gravel roads,
dark roads,
rough roads.
dark roads,
What?
dark roads.
Dark roads.
Yeah, because your lighting isn't following the curve. You don't know.
I knew a
how
guy
to-
named Dusty Rhodes.
Okay.
All right, I tell you what, it's all about slowing down on the curves, understanding the dangers of what can go on in a curve. All right.
It's all about being safe, Dave.
It all is about being
It's
safe.
all about being safe.
It is all about being
Protecting
safe.
lives.
What?
Protecting lives.
It is about protecting. All right, I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and go. We'll get out of here. We will see y'all tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel here on BCB Live.
The safest station in the nation.
He says it every time, just on cue.